Hello, sir. Thank you for
Hello,
joining
David.
me again. You know, I want to discuss real quick today about the the who, what, where, why, and how you'd use a ladybird deed in Texas. But I'm really curious on how it works in relation to your title business.
Okay. Well, first, let's talk about what a ladybird deed is. It's called a ladybird deed because it was used by former President Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ, and his wife, Lady Bird Johnson, to deal with the conveyance of property and as part of their estate plan. The legal term for a ladybird deed is called a deed with an enhanced life estate. So essentially, someone, let's say a grantor, the person that has title, says to the grantee, and I'll use an example: John Smith to his son Joe Smith. I pass title to you, but I reserve the use of the property for the rest of my life, including the power to sell, convey. Basically, I reserve an enhanced life estate. In a typical life estate, you usually don't reserve the power to sell, convey, mortgage, but in a ladybird deed or enhanced life estate, you do. So that's what a ladybird deed is. It says I give you title, but I reserve for the rest of my life a use of that property and the power to sell, convey, or even cancel the deed. That's what a ladybird deed is. And in the title business, if we come across those, the grantor, in this case, John Smith, can sell the property, and basically the person that gets it, Joe Smith, the remainder man or remainder person, they don't have a say in that. In a typical life estate, if you didn't have the power to sell or convey, you would need both the signature of the life estate person, John Smith, and the person who's a remainder person, Joe Smith. But in
Ah,
the ladybird deed, the grantor reserves the absolute power.
so they can't sell the property when the person's still alive. They
Well, while the person is still alive, the remainder man person doesn't get anything until the person dies. So really, the person that does the ladybird deed, the grantor, still pretty much controls the property, right?
okay.
And it's good in the sense that if you're 65 and over, you still get the 65 and over exemption for property taxes. You still can sell it, you can borrow against it. So really, the remainder person, in this case, the example I cited, Joe Smith, doesn't really have a say in the property. It's still essentially the grantor still has full authority over the property.
So it's almost just like a placeholder, just in case
It's a
something
way,
happens.
yeah, it's a way of the grantor making clear what he or she wants to happen upon their death, and it avoids probate, which is why most people do it. It's to avoid probate, and then if persons are limited income and they use Medicaid, it's a way of preventing the inclusion of that property in a 5-year look back, where the states are required to have a Medicaid estate recovery program, and this is another way of protecting the property from that program.
So explain that a little bit. So in Medicaid, if someone, okay, say I have a property,
Mhm.
my beneficiary is my son.
Yeah,
I have a ladybird set up, but I'm at the age of 65 plus, I think, for Medicaid.
right.
There's a look back period to pay something. What is it? How does that
No,
work?
it's basically you can't transfer assets. Medicaid is for folks with moderate income, and it's used obviously to pay for nursing care and other expenses.
Okay.
So it's a way for the government to make sure you're not disguising assets, but it is a perfectly legitimate estate planning tool to have a ladybird deed. So when the person dies, it's not really part of the estate of the decedent. In other words, the person that died, they didn't own it, and so there's not a 5-year look back. So that's why it's used.
In your opinion, how does a ladybird stand up against a quitclaim deed? Is that the same situation or?
Oh, it's different. A quick claim deed, and title companies have issues with quick claim deeds because a quick claim deed says, I, grantor, release any interest of whatever I may have in this property. All right. And that's different than saying title companies, if you're going to do that, would prefer a deed without warranty, where it says, I give you title to this property, but without any warranties. So I wouldn't recommend using a quick claim deed at all in Texas unless maybe it could be accepted by some title companies where it's between family members and one family member is giving up an interest in the property. I would prefer, if you're going to do something like that, to use a deed without warranty, because a quick claim deed says I quit claim. I release whatever interest I may have or whatever interest I
Yeah.
have in the property versus a deed that says I have title. And the reason we call them warranty deeds is I'm warranting that I have title. A deed without warranty says I give you title, but without any warranties. Whereas a ladybird deed is more as I have title, but I'm going to use this property for the rest of my life. And then when I die, it goes to you, and I retain the power to sell, convey, mortgage, or cancel at any time. That's a ladybird deed.
So if I was a beneficiary of a ladybird deed and my dad passed away, and I brought you the ladybird deed, said, "Can you transfer this into my name?" It would be pretty simple.
Yes, because by operation of law, we would just have to do what's called an affidavit of death, prove that the person died. So we need a death certificate. And since the deed by its own express term says when I pass, it goes to my son or the beneficiary, then that affidavit of death is filed in the county records where the property is located. And by operation of law, the property then passes to the beneficiary.
Is there any time frame that I have to that my dad would have to be, or mother, or whoever pass away a certain amount of time, or is it immediate?
Well, a ladybird deed usually, a lot of times in wills, there's like a survivor, like you have to survive your parent by so many hours. That's not the case with a ladybird deed, but I would always advise once a person passes away, go ahead and do the affidavit of death because it's automatic by the words of the deed itself.
Okay. Is there any other advantages that you see as an attorney with relation to title company, and any disadvantages that we have not talked about?
Some title companies may be more strict, and even though it's a ladybird deed, they may require more facts. They may require even the remainder person, the beneficiary, to sign. But the deed by itself says they retain the power to sell or convey, and so it's and then the title company would require to make sure that's exactly what the grantor wanted, right? And the beneficiary really, by the terms of the deed, really doesn't have a say in it legally. But title insurance is insuring title, making sure there's not any claims to title. So it just depends on the policies of certain title companies. But the deed by itself says it all.
Okay. How can people reach you for consulting with you on other topics and for maybe doing ladybird deeds?
Right. The law office of Sal Espino, Salespino. We're located at 1205 North Main Street, Forward, Texas, 76164. 5 minutes from the stockyards, 5 minutes from the downtown. And our office number is 817 624 3352. 817 624 3352. My email is Espino, Sespino, at espinolowftw.com. ESPINOLAWFTW.com.
Perfect. I'll put that in the description as well on this video on YouTube, on my channel at Cities Real Estate. But also, if Sal's done two other videos with us in the past, one is affidavit airships, and I appreciate that, and the monument of title. And I'll put the links right here in the video so you can watch them if you want them. So thank you, Sal. I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
Maybe we could do this once a week and just go over some topics.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. You have a great day, sir.
You too, sir.
All right. God
Thank
bless
you.
y'all. Adios.
You too. Bye bye.